right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Hit us up at 412-575-2600. Bob Pompeani joined tonight by Chris Mueller over at 93.7 The Fan. And before we do anything else, we should get into what will be the top story for right now. It's our Xfinity tweet of the night. Andrew Filipony posted it after he had his nipples pierced. And it was a night of piercing cancer. They raised a lot of money from what I understand. I know he looks calm there, but I saw Donnie holding his hand like he was expecting a baby, the way things were going with the pressure there. Chris, tell us about the evening, and apparently everything went well, including the nipples.
Cannot believe that is a real picture that exists. First, the most important thing, we raised, I believe the number is about $12,000 for the McGee Women's Research Institute. So that's awesome.
Terrific.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people I could thank. The person I'm going to thank is Pony for going through with this. He was a man of his word, endured some pain. Donnie's a strong guy. He played interior offensive line, right? I got the sense that Pony nearly broke bones in Donnie's hands squeezing so hard, as Donnie was almost supporting him if he was giving birth. Pony did not utter a single peep, not even a yelp of pain. I didn't really see him move. He had a hat over his face when this happened, and he just apparently squeezed Donnie's hand for all it was worth. So the people in Mike's Beer Bar tonight got their money's worth because Pony went through discomfort. As that picture displayed, he looks completely ridiculous, as I think everybody understands, but all very much for a good cause, and it was a very fun night down there. I had the easiest job in the building. I got to make fun of Pony and basically quasi-MC this thing. It was a delight.
Yeah, well, whatever happened to just making a steak dinner bet? I think he's probably going to go back that route if he ever makes another bet like that, right? No more of this kind of stuff. He probably never thought it was going to happen, and that's the beauty of it. When it did, then you knew what was going on.
Here's the thing. He was saying this about a Bengals-Steelers game where anybody with any kind of sense of what Mike Tomlin has done in these spots and what Mike Tomlin tends to do lately against Joe Flacco, i.e. in both cases lose, thought that he was crazy for betting it on this game. Like, why would you put it on the line? That would be like me in like the mid to late 2000s or the 2010s going, and the Steelers are going into Foxborough, and if they don't beat the Patriots and Tom Brady, I'll pierce my nipples. They have the Pats, not like just a ridiculous bet. Hopefully he learned his lesson here, but at least along the way we raised some money off of it.
Well, it was a good night for that point of view. Congrats for Andrew Filipony for going through, and all the people who came out and made that possible tonight. So that's good news. I want to start tonight by talking about something I didn't think we'd hear right now anyway. Derek Shelton is back in the managerial game. Looks like the Minnesota Twins, a place he spent time before, and that probably helped him in this cause. They're going to hire him as their next manager. Are you surprised by this?
I am. I just thought he was just terrible as the Pirates manager, and I think you can judge a guy two ways. You can, give the caveat here and say, well, he was dealing with very limited resources, but it was pretty abundantly clear to me that even though he started out having virtually, no hand to play, that he didn't make anything better. Those players played better for Donnie Kelly than they did for Derek Shelton. I wouldn't say they played a ton better, but it was pretty obvious that they did. And I think Shelton lost that clubhouse pretty early in this season, if not at the end of last season. So Minnesota has been maybe marginally more successful and competitive than the Pirates. Most every team has been lately. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know how you justify that to a fan base other than to say, well, he was the hitting coach when Rocco Baldelli was here, and we had some good hitting teams that hit a bunch of home runs. But otherwise, I just think that if I were in Minneapolis, I would be crushing this hire tomorrow on the radio.
Well, one thing is happening right now. The Blue Jays are crushing the Dodgers in what has been an interesting turn of events after LA won that 18-inning marathon to go up 2-1. I thought for sure that would lead the way, to Toronto just basically saying, man, we're out of pitchers. We're next day come back. If they fall behind 3-1, it would have been very difficult. They responded great last night, and they're responding again. What's happened to the Dodgers pitching? Or I'm sorry, they're hitting. They won that previous series because of their outstanding pitching. They only gave up like 1 run a game, so you're going to beat Milwaukee that way. But against the Toronto team, you better bring your own hitting, and they haven't done it.
Yeah, I thought Toronto showed a heck of a response, and I'm somebody that thought they would get swept or gentlemen swept in this series. They have more than proved their mettle. They are at least going to see a Game 7, and the way things are trending might just close this thing down in 6. Pitcher, their starter tonight, who started the season, I want to say an A-ball or high A-ball and jumped 4 levels. At last check, he's got 12 strikeouts. Has just been money in the bank. I think Kike Hernandez had a home run, and otherwise he hasn't really been touched. They brought the goods. I think they deserve credit for being resilient, and I'm not going to make them into the little underdog story or the little engine that could. They're the 5th highest payroll in baseball, but you are getting what you paid for, because you know who had a huge hit in this game that I think right now would stand as the winning run? Vlad Jr. Back-to-back home runs. They lead off the game that way. Their big-time player is playing big-time baseball right now when it counts, and oftentimes that's what you need to win.
Yeah, Schneider hit one ahead of him, and then he hit his number 8 of the postseason, which is amazing, and he signed that big contract. He's certainly giving them a lot of reason to say, well, that was a good deal, and it has been for them so far. You see our KDKA.com Connect poll of the night brought to you by Penn West University. Will Pitt basketball make the NCAA tournament? We asked that because they got together today, and we had a media opportunity to meet with Jeff Capel coming up at 11 o'clock. You're going to hear from Cassidy Wood, who assessed their situation there under Capel with a whole new roster of players. We'll do that, but first, we're going to take your calls. 412-575-2600. We are live tonight, KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We want to hear from you. All right, back with more. Bob Pompeani, Chris Mueller with you at 412-575-2600. We got some tweets in. Paul, he goes by ya boy PD, says, how are you guys not talking about the guy behind Pony in the picture, seemingly have the time of his life? Who is the guy? I didn't notice this.
The guy in the picture that we put up there, yeah, I think it might have been our guy Tony from Butler. Sorry, I had to go down the wrong pipe on me there, Bob, for a second.
I can't see you, but something sounded weird there, so I'm glad you clarified that.
I had one of those things where I took a small breath and then decided I was going to start having a hacking fit, but I'm good now. Yes, the person behind him looked like he was having the time of his life. That might have been our guy Tony in Butler or somebody else, but a good time was had by all. I mean, we hammed it up here, Bob. We do what we always do on the PM team, and we were joined by people like Adam Crowley, who I'm going to use this space. This is a bully pulpit. I'm going to call him out, host of the morning show. He has made many bets like this less painful, possibly more embarrassing, and he hasn't paid them off. So I'm just going to jab my finger at the camera and say, pay your bets, man. Pay your bets. Or don't make them at all like me, which is obviously the smartest thing that you could do. But nobody in my profession seems to be able to heed that very simple advice.
Well, I have. I don't make those bets at all. I don't want to be on the hook for any of it.
But Pomp, you don't need to stoop to our level here. We're but humble radio guys that are lucky enough to get on TV once in a while. We've got to make a mockery of ourselves sometimes to get attention.
Well, it certainly draws a lot of attention, and it's good attention, especially considering the $12,000 that was raised tonight. We have another tweet here. This is from Ryan Zedek, who says, do you guys think Eli Holstein returns next year for Pitt? Interesting, because Mason Heinchel has become the guy, and a confident young man. He's won 4 in a row as a starting quarterback, and he looks like he's ready for the big stage.
This guy has injected. I know Holstein, when he came here last year, there was some real excitement, obviously, but Heinchel has kind of injected a different kind of excitement because it's happening midstream. They just put him in. He played one, obviously, pretty subpar game overall stats-wise at Syracuse, but, I mean, look what he's managed to do. They look like a completely different team. You can make a case that if he starts from game 1 and gets kind of some experience in those lesser, lower profile games, they might be undefeated right now. They look like they can hang with anybody. So even if it takes into the low 7 figures to keep them, I think they're going to find a way to do that. And I do think that would mean Eli Holstein takes off. Bob, I wanted to run something by you too, just because I know tonight's been scattered and there's all sorts of things going on. Jordan Schultz, the Schultz Report, he was reporting on this. He was doing, I just am curious. I'm throwing you a curveball here, but I promise it's something that's pretty straightforward. He said he was listing all the teams in the NFL that he's been hearing reports on. So this is one guy, but take it for what it's worth. what he's hearing reports on teams are looking for at the deadline. And with the Steelers, wide receiver came up, and then this is how it was framed. Anything on the defensive side of the ball. They're just, hey, you got a defender that we might be able to use? We'll take him. I just want to, because, like, here's how I reacted to that. That seems, we all know they're looking for wide receivers. If the thing on the defensive side of the ball is true, if we are just looking for any able-bodied defender to come and join the team, and that's kind of what they got in Kyle Duggar, in my opinion, because I don't think he's very good. He's a classic box safety, and I don't know how much he can run anymore. What does it say about the extremely expensive defense that they have constructed, that they might be out there looking for any and everything possible to help them on that side of the ball? It just seems like an indictment on multiple levels of their talent evaluation, of their acquisition process, and then of the way they haven't been able to coach them up on the field.
All of that. And when you're 32nd in pass defense on a defense that has the highest number of money spent on it, yeah, you get a little desperate at this point. Kyle Duggar's a good example of that. He's at least somebody who can come in and play, given the injury. Now he's replacing Deshaun Elliott. But if you analyze probably everyone on the defensive side of the football, how many have had seasons worse than what you expected? And the answer would be probably just about everyone. And that's not a good sign. They have to figure this out, and they're going to get a staunch test this coming weekend. I don't know what the line is. I saw it started at 2.5. It's got to be, well, now it's over 3. I know that. But I wonder how high it'll get before it stops. Because to me, you got the number 1 offense against the number 32 ranked pass defense.
I'm always hesitant. I do the old George Costanza routine where he has a whole great episode where every time he does the thing that is the opposite of what he would otherwise do, he ends up succeeding. So I usually do that with NFL picks. I'm like, ooh, this is obvious to me. I'm going to do the opposite. I think the line should be around 5.5. And you always know that a home team gets like a 3-point bump. And so that would suggest or imply that the Steelers are actually about 8.5 points worse than the Colts. I don't really understand or see logic for why this game would be even a field goal game, because the Colts have a bunch of different things that I think are going to make the Steelers' lives difficult. They've got a solid enough defense, obviously. It's not great, but it's good enough. And then they have an offensive line that can dictate terms. They have a running back that's going to keep Tomlin up at night. And they have a set of receivers, really, not even to mention Tyler Warren. But in downs, they have a good slot guy. Pittman, they have a good physical guy who runs intermediate routes. And Alec Pierce is a very good run him down the field 35 yards, throw it up, and he'll go get it. So I don't really see what the weaknesses are here on their offense, and I see a ton of weaknesses on the Steelers' defense. I don't know how that line can't be at least 4, 4.5, maybe even 5 by game time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought it should have been 5, 5.5, 6 even, just given the differential in points that we've seen. I think Indy's a plus 166. The Steelers are even. And that tells me that, yes, they've blown out a lot of opponents, and maybe those opponents at some point just start throwing the ball all over and made it worse by throwing interceptions, because they do have 10 interceptions as a unit, does Indianapolis. But, man, at this point, now things can change pretty radically, as we've seen and as you've just described. But in this game, I think they're going to have to score at least 30 points to win it. And they can do that. Although, again, expecting it every single week is a tough thing. And when you have Boswell kicking field goals, that's one thing. You can't have it in this game. And that's why I think if they get to 4th down in this game, in manageable situations, regardless of where the ball is, Chris, I would expect them to be more aggressive than they've been. They only have had 3 4th down tries this year.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin has gone for it the least of any coach in the league on 4th down. It's once again a continuation of, I think, a bad trend where sometimes, or at least at the start of his career, and then even when field goals or extra points, got changed to a harder kick, he started going for 2 more often. Early in his career, he would go for 2 more often. He would go for it on 4th down. He was an aggressive coach. He's gone back into a shell. He has been reliant on his defense in these situations. If you're kicking field goals or just punting it away, that means you think you don't want to, risk bad field position. You'd rather just take the 3 and hope your defense can either hold them to 3 or stop them altogether. And there's really no reason to believe, Bob, that their defense is going to stop the Colts. There's nothing on paper, nothing on film. I think Joe Starkey said this. I don't know if you were on with him that day or not, but he said, listen, this team's best chance is to go all in on offense and try to outscore people. I agree with him.
Yeah, I think at this point that would be the best thing because, you're going to have to come up with points. The only thing that could change is turnovers. The Steelers, they won that game in New England because somehow there were 5 turnovers in it, but you can't rely on that every single game you play. We got to take a break here. Chris, come back with more. It's 412-575-2600 or hit us up at KD Pump, at Chris Mueller PGH. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. After getting a loser point last night in Philadelphia on a very interesting game, as it turned out, the Penguins are now in Minnesota. They're going to take on the Wild tomorrow, but this is now game number 10 if he plays in it with Ben Kindle, and not so much yet for Harrison Brunick. I'm getting to think that they're definitely committed to Kindle, as they should be based on what I've seen. I thought for a moment, Chris, that Harrison Brunick would be here as well. I'm not so sure about that. They brought up Owen Pickering the other day. How do you see those two and what they do with them? Because the decision is due.
I think Kindle's going to be here. I have to believe that they've had their eyes open, that this guy just skill-wise can do it, that he'll get bigger and stronger with NHL nutrition, Bob. And he's driven play on his third line. It's not like he's ridden the coattails of Malkin or Crosby and fed off of their greatness, especially in the case of a guy like Crosby. I think he's proved he belongs, and I think running that line and being the driving force is good for him. Quickly on Brunick, he's a teenage defenseman. I think at that position you always assume development might be a little more gradual. I'd still rather see him up, but I have a feeling they're probably going to try to keep him down this year.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way it goes at this point. They still have a game or two, I believe, on Brunick. They will make him wait a little bit.
They do. He's played 7, so he could play 2 more games, and then they can make their decision. But it feels like they're slow rolling that with the idea that they're sending him down.
All right, Penguins are 7-2-2, and one of the best records in the Eastern Conference, and that's going to be
playoffs,
for us.
Bob. Playoffs.
I'm hoping.
You called it.
All right, Chris, thanks very much. We appreciate it, and congratulations to Andrew Filipony again for going through with what he said he would. Kudos to you, and we'll be back tomorrow night, 10:35. Good night.